so forth. We're going to talk about biohacking, and how women can, cool, we're live, and how women can start to do small changes to empower themselves so they can empower others. Okay. Charlie, please.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Good. So first of all, we're gonna introduce ourselves. We'll tell you about our backgrounds a bit. It only seems fair, and the watchers as well. So I'm Charlie. I come from Transylvania. I'm not a vampire. I'm a biohacker. This is a more evolved version of it. I'm kidding. I finished engineering. I ended up being a body stream trainer, but throughout, well, not my career, but throughout this journey, I felt drawn to health and lifestyle and fitness, but in a way to have a more sharper brain, mind, and just to be a better performing individual, really. So then we started tapping into small little things, and we're gonna talk about those in a few moments.
And I'm Diana, as everybody knows me. I come from Transylvania as well. Actually, we share the small same town, and we studied in the same big city. And we opened Body Street. I opened Body Street with Charlie because Charlie's my inspiration. Charlie's my anchor. And Charlie came up with this beautiful idea to have a fitness business. When we didn't want something traditional, as we consider ourselves as biohackers and disruptors. So we want to disrupt the norm. We want to challenge the fitness industry. Came across this beautiful concept, and here we are. Cool. Now we're gonna do a little icebreaker game. Yeah, we are going to ask each and every of you to introduce yourself, but name, what are you doing, where do you come from, so on and so forth. And after you've introduced yourselves, I'm gonna ask
That's the interesting bit.
I'm gonna ask you to reach out to your personal pocket, grab the thing that's at hand, show it to everybody, and tell us why that item is important to you.
I'll go first.
You raised your hand, so
No,
okay. Naomi, you go first.
I am Naomi. I come from Transylvania as well. I only moved to Brighton like a year and a half ago. I'm still studying back home and working here as a support worker for people with disabilities. And I have no pockets, but I mean, I do have my watch.
Fair enough.
So tell us why that item is important to you.
It's actually helping me at work, basically, because the phones aren't too big. We are not allowed to have things in our pockets, so the watch is keeping me connected.
Awesome. Baby.
We all come from the same little town. We all studied in the same big town. Yeah, my name is Tibi. I'm Charlie's brother. I finished public health back in Romania. I came here to work as a support worker like a year ago, 1.5, and I have the same watch. It helps me track steps, sleep. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Ingram. I'm broadcasting this event, and I've got a phone in my hand. The reason why it's important is because it's encouraging other people to watch the brilliant work you're doing.
I'm gonna start right. Okay.
Hi, my name is Saitia Murphy. I'm from the United States in Chicago. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an occupational therapist, Thai yoga practitioner, and Hermetic yoga instructor. And this is my dear friend phone, and it's important to me because it allows me to communicate with my everyone. Keep keep track of my clients and all that.
Peace. My name is Lucky Shea Nigeria. I'm also from USA, small town called Sao Paulo, Illinois. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I am here to heal and help people on their transition journey through the birthing stages of life. What I have here is a purse that I just bought, very beautiful and colorful. It called my name when I went into a little shop near in this town. And it's important to me because it represents me in many ways because of the colors. The green representing prosperity, health, as well as wealth and life.
My name is Dr. Tia Jones, and you see what I have there. Oh, okay. That's good. My name is Dr. Tia Jones, and I am a metaphysician. I live in Oregon, but I am from the United States. And what was the next part I was supposed to do?
So tell us a little bit about your background.
My background is I'm a metaphysician. I've published 9 books. I've written several more. I'm a former major pageant winner. And actually, I'm hosting the Holistic Wellness Fair as well as the Awakening and Healing Retreat. And it has been an amazing journey because although sometimes people have expectations, it has really been a very interesting dynamic and flow. And it's like everything I'm saying or have been saying has been, I say it verbally, and sometimes I may say it just as a matter of factly, sometimes I just may say it another way. But then now we're also seeing it happen in living color. And it's about a soul journey, and so people are required really to get the signposts to just tune in and to get into a space of being open to receive. I pulled out of my pocket, which is really at this point, it's no longer needed because I've already picked up the tickets, but it's the code for train tickets. And the reason why this is important because this train is moving. And I know what I'm called to do, and that is to awaken and heal. And if you don't get on this train in this season, when you've been invited to get on this train, and if you can't get in alignment, if you can't receive, trying to heal. And there's, I know at least a couple people in here who has to heal in a way or do some preventive stuff right now that came up. And it's important for their own life. So I don't need this anymore because the invitation has gone out, but the train is moving. And if you ain't on it this time, it doesn't stop. So
Thank you.
Bring kindness. Don't spend the week with my grandson by all the events that have to take place. Back to Logan. And this is all I love it to me.
Why is that important to you?
Very important.
Why?
Well, we got up at the here. If you sold the bag something, you have to have it. Different relatives and pieces.
Now my turn. What I have at hand is an energy elixir. I use it before my workouts. I use it before getting in contact with clients. I rub it on my temples and I rub it behind my ears. It dilates my blood vessels and it helps me with mental clarity and productivity.
Good. Thanks, Dana. And I've got it's a little device. It's the thin sleep ring. It's not a sleep tracker. You've got many sleep trackers out there. Not just that it tracks your sleep, but it also helps you and conditions you to sleep better. And it trains you, especially if you suffer with insomnia or you find that it's very difficult for you to fall asleep or stay asleep, or you just wake up during the night watching at the ceiling all the time, this can actually help you by sending little vibrations to condition you to go to sleep. And you do that a couple of nights, and on the 5th, 6th night, your brain is so determined to go to sleep because this little piece will keep interrupting your brain into go to sleep. So on the 5th night, your brain will say, I've just had enough, I'm gonna go to sleep right now. So you'll find that you're just dozing into sleep a lot quicker. And
yes,
yeah?
yes.
Just put it on your finger. Just put it on your finger, and then you are meant to be tapping your thumbs every half a second, half a minute. And basically, this way, it's checking that you're still awake. Yeah, it won't, because it's not connected to my phone. There's a special app that will connect to the ring.
And it'll make it vibrate or something?
Yeah, it's just a gentle vibration that my phone will send that, and you have to just tap back twice.
Just tap it. Oh,
Yeah.
and so then you get tired of doing that, so you take it off and go to sleep. Is that what it is?
No. So it goes on and on. And if you manage to fall asleep under like 5 minutes, that's great. If you manage to not fall asleep in a short period of time, then it basically trains your brain into like, it disturbs your brain into going to sleep. And it's called cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, that's cognitive.
Yeah, yeah. So that's I find it really, really useful. And so yeah, I have a little background when I used to have some sleeping pills, and since then I was a bit more mindful about sleep. All right, so we're gonna crack into it and tell you guys what biohacking is. And basically, taking control of your own biology is the most empowering thing that you could do. And if you do that yourself and you raise your energy levels, you have a sharper brain, and you perform better, then you'll be able to help others as well. If you're low energy, there's nothing that you can actually give to others. Just as with our training, if we're not sharp, if we're not high energy, if we just go slowly through the day, it's not helpful for our clients. So we try to keep up with it. And just imagine that nowadays you can just earn some points and get some flight tickets really, really cheap and go around the world, or just get some free stuff from the grocery store, or well, these are all called little hacks that you can do. Just imagine if you can do that with your own body as well. That's really, really amazing, and it's also real. I just want to welcome you all to the world of biohacking.
So biohacking, in other words, means the art of becoming a superhuman. Not like Superman or Superwoman, but the little tiny things that you can do to change some aspects of your life. Now, many people can argue that biohacking is a field focused mainly on men. Many of the technologies and many of the things that appear on the market appear to be geared and specially designed for men. However, that's not the case, because there are many women who are tapping into this so-called modern concept, and many women are starting to be influencers and to take center stage towards being biohackers themselves. Good. Now, personal experience with biohacking. Charlie's going to share his personal experience with biohacking, and afterwards I'm going to share mine.
Yes, so I moved away when I was 18. I went up to uni, and obviously living on my own, trying to be as independent as possible. I was looking into life hacks. That's a little bit different, like do DIY stuff, and how to clean stuff better and how to do stuff better. And I was really drawn into all these little shortcuts that you can take and just save more time. I'm still drawn into it because I on the street. And then I sort of transitioned towards biohacking. So it happened slowly, gradually. I discovered some people that they were constantly talking about having shortcuts, being more mindful, being aware of your own biology. So I started tracking my sleep. I started, I used to have a lot of exams during uni, and basically I used to have even 8 or 10 exams in a week, and I had to study. I had to study a lot and read. I used to read maybe a book or 2 books at night. I used to study at night, so I used to have a coffee, and I used to listen to special kind of music that just plays in the background, and that's binaural beats or isochronic tones, which you're probably familiar with. You probably use it as well meditating or yoga, and that's powerful stuff, I can tell you. I went one step ahead, and I also had subliminal messages added to them, and that's it's quite good. It's quite good. You can have any sort of frequencies added to it if you want to learn. Then you probably have some alpha waves. If you want to perform better, then there would be a high frequency, or just sleep on your headphones and just listen to them while you sleep. So I used to do that. Fasting, that was another good stuff for me. It was giving me mental clarity just right before the exams, or even a light breakfast still saved me and gave me high energy. Having dark chocolate just before, so it's not a lot of tech. It wasn't a lot of tech involved back in the days just yet. It was more about tiny little hacks that you can do to just get that extra bang for the buck, you say in USA. Yeah, so that's my this is how I started.
Me, well, between me and Charlie, he's the one who drags me up when it comes to these things, and I'm the one, you know what, now I'm just gonna cheat on something every now and then. So I was drawn and I was inspired by him, by his desire to do things differently, to think outside the box and to be unconventional. And my first ever biohacking experience was drinking a bulletproof coffee. Don't know if any of you heard about the bulletproof coffee. So it comes from America, from this guy called Dave Asprey. And the bulletproof coffee, it's quite simple. It has butter in it.
I've heard of it.
Have you tried it?
I've tried it.
Okay. So you add butter in your coffee and a special oil called brain octane oil. Just mix it in a blender and drink it. And that was my first experience. It was a great kickstart in my biohacking journey. And even today, I have my bulletproof coffee in the morning. So I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to go deeper into this biohack. So we will present a couple of biohacks from a wellness, holistic, and fitness perspective. And the first one I'm going to talk about is fasting. This is one of the most ancient biohacks. many people do it and they have no idea that they're doing it. Many people confess to us that, oh, we were doing it before it was even a thing, especially women as well. So from a health and fitness perspective, if people want to lose weight, if they want to have mental clarity, one of the easiest and one of the at-hand hacks that they can do is to start fasting. It suits each and every diet, be it keto, be it paleo, be it vegan, vegetarian. It suits everybody's lifestyle, basically, if they just want to make that move and if they just want to transition towards healthy. So my question is, first of all, have any of you, since now you're familiar with the term of biohacking, have any of you tried to do a biohack? Was there a moment when you took matters into your own hands in terms of your health? So let's say, for example, you were experiencing a headache, and instead of going to the pharmacist and buy medication, you did something different. You approached that matter differently.
Yes. My entire life.
Okay.
Great to hear.
Great. Good.
So, turns out each and every one of us is a biohacker.
Can you give us an example of a piece?
Sure. I'll just use the fasting.
Okay.
So fasting just so happens to be one of my all-time favorite things to engage in, because for me, it's an opportunity for me to climb to a much higher state of being. And when I am fasting, I'm razor sharp. There's nothing that I cannot do. So you made the mention of the superhero. Well, in this case, I go into my highest self, and whatever I want, however I want it, I will bring it to me when I'm fasting. So it used to be a time where I would fast so much, especially when my children were smaller, that they were very afraid when I was fasting, because I was saying, well, I'm fasting, and I come very relaxed. They're like, oh no, because what that meant was they thought I could see, and I could, through doors, not literally, but I knew what the activity that was taking place, and I could call them and say, are you doing, they knew that my senses were much heightened. And they were very afraid because they saw, whether it's what they're thinking. Are you the chocolate? Did you just get a cookie out the cookie jar? Oh, don't fast, don't spell it. Because I'm not fast on the company. So, but to answer your question, that's one of the ways. And so that poured into not only my lifestyle, but also what I was able to help my clients with, because fasting is my answer to everything. So when someone says, I come with this, fast. I come with this issue, fast. And I understood that everybody's fast was not the same. It didn't look the same for everyone, nor would I force that on people. But the challenge with me is that because I was such an avid faster, I was an expert faster in all different stages, that it got to a point that I was obsessed with fasting. And this is when I realized it was a problem for me, because I had gotten to the point where I could not exist outside the fasting world, which is very scary, because if I'm always fasting, the only other thing I could possibly be doing is breathing. When I say fast, meaning I literally not eating. I would do my 40 days. So I think the highest fast that I've done in terms of physically abstaining from food was 39 and a half days. And I got to a point where I was just like, okay. And when I realized that it had become an addiction for me, then that's when I decided to stop. Not completely, but I had to go a different route. So interesting enough, prior to coming here, my goal was to fast up until the point where I got here. I was going to break it a couple of days. It didn't work out that way. And I had been trying to get to this point for a very long time. And when I met my husband, he understood my journey in the fast. He jumped right on. So he's probably fasted 100 times, and I still have been here because it's been difficult for me, because I don't want to go back to that where it's like I was so rigid with it. And then also in closing, it would get to the point that I could not relate to anybody else because I was so high up in the clouds of like, you know, I was like, and I had to come down. So when I came down, it was like I would eat. And I was like, no, okay, hey, so I have a normal conversation, but it's long. So once I got to the place where I was able to balance my life, then I could go back to that biohack. But my life is a biohack. But I have to have the balance because I still live in that world that exists with other people.
Thank you for sharing this experience. Wow, that's amazing.
You'll find out probably why. What we discovered is for ladies, it could be a bit more difficult to fast than for men. We find it a lot easier, and you'll find out why. Then we'll just share that information.
Tia, you wanted to say something before you ran from your chair.
I was
You can use
not
the
gonna say.
hangers. You can use the hangers.
Okay. I was gonna say, well, then I think biohacking too in that case, because I'm not quick to run to the doctor or the hospital. And so if I get a headache, I might try lavender, or I might try peppermint. I fasted. I've been on 30 days fast before. I've done all sorts of things too. I do Reiki. I do chakra cleansing and aura. So all of those things I do in place of to get, you know, energy medicine, I guess you could say, to get things back in alignment. So if that's considered biohacking, then
Of course
yeah,
it is. It still has a great effect on your body.
So I do yoga. I did what you do for me last night.
Thai yoga.
I did Thai yoga, which was awesome, wonderful. So released a lot of stuff that that I didn't even know. And so yeah, I think I've been biohacking for a long time too. Yeah.
Did you even know it's called like that?
I would have never.
I would have never known it was biohacking.
I mean, you broke it down, you explained it, and I'm like, oh, but no, I would have. Biohacking, I don't know. I heard the term used, I've seen the term used, but I just did not relate it to human being. Like, when I would think of the hack, because you know, YouTube, not YouTube, but what is this? They have these videos that pop up and people are doing things different ways, innovative ways. Like, oh, that's neat. I never thought about that. But I never related it to just the human itself. I related it to other objects and the transference of it on other things that would make life easier, but not the person. But that's what it is. And so thank you for that explanation to get me to understand it in that way. Because now when I'm watching a video, I'll be raised.
So biology, yeah, hackers.
It's the hackers though, but you see how we take our minds way here that it's just
It's
simple.
only been added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, like I think last year or 2 years ago. So it's a relatively new term.
I always associate biohacking with greenery and trees and land, and
That's a good association because your body just gets better, isn't it? It's probably get greener, so it gets healthier.
Yeah, I didn't know it was actually the body.
Yes.
So have you ever in your life journey done something
Absolutely
that falls into this category?
Yes, it would be like times where I've got a headache.
Yeah.
So I would think ultimately go and get a paracetamol. But then I found drinking water, dehydration is one of the common things for that. Or there's been other times where I've had a headache and I've pushed certain parts of my thumb, pushed down on it, and that's relieved tension in the head. So yeah.
About dehydration, interestingly enough, for ladies, I had 2 clients coming in today, and one of them, she does massage. And one of my other clients, she was having a scan here with us, and she was barefoot. And immediately my client who was doing the massage, she pointed to a part of her foot, and she said, "You're clearly dehydrated." She just saw it was a swollen part, and she immediately said, "You're clearly dehydrated. You need to drink more water." And it was just like that. Now,
So I guess I've been biohacking for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. No, because with I have clients and I've used E-stem electrical muscle stimulation. I manipulate myself, my body, other people's bodies to release energy, to realign structures, and all of that. I understand the whole biology aspect, and then hacking. I guess I never really, because you always think of it as a hacker, as someone that's doing something that's not.
Reaching the White House.
Like that's illegal, but I guess I get paid for biohacking. But yeah, I enjoy it because, and when I saw the electrical muscle stimulation, I was like, wait, I knew. And when I saw the machines, I was like, if that's what I think it is, then I've actually had to work with clients to do muscle re-ed, to help them muscle re-education, so that you're teaching the muscle how to fire up muscle memory to how do we move now this limb, or how do we contract this in order to make this limb stronger, or how do we now take the E-stem and make the arm less tonic, and now we want to relax it to be able to pull it straight. So different ways of manipulating.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'll be like yo.
So biohacking is everything that you mentioned so far, and it goes a step further, and that means that you're gonna get your hands dirty and not just do the biohacks, but you also measure. And what I say by that is tracking your sleep and measuring all the changes that happen. So you'll have like a log and see how you perform the next days and what you can improve. It's not just tracking, because all the watches can do that, or every little piece of device can do that. It also goes a little bit further and trying to, right, let's see what happened yesterday. Why didn't I get a restful sleep, and how can I change that? So it's taking ownership and just going one step further.
And in a way, you mentioned the word illegal. It's a way of cheating, actually. It's a way of us being better than the people, who don't want to put into practice these things. Okay, so I'm going to talk about various types of fasting, because many people think that fasting means, oh, I'm not going to eat anything for a day or 2 or 3, or as you mentioned, 30 days, 40 days. However, for the people we work with, for our ladies especially, it's not going to happen. That's going to be a bit difficult for them. So the first type of fast I'm going to talk about is the 16-8. Anybody knows?
16-8?
Yes,
Yes.
16-8.
16 hours on and 8 hours off, where you have a window of which during that time, that's when you refeed.
So,
Intermittent.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard intermittent
For 1
fasting.
million days.
So for 16 hours, you fast. We advise people to drink during their fasting period, not to eat anything. However, during the 8-hour window, you can replenish yourself. This type of fast works very, very well with our clients. Is the first hack that we tell them. We don't tell it in the form of fasting, because they get scared of, I'm not allowed to eat anything, or I'm not allowed to drink anything. However, from our experience with clients, they reported back to us that their sleep has improved, their mood has improved, and their alertness has become better from eating just in an 8-hour window. So let's say 7 o'clock sharp they stop till the next day when they kickstart their morning breakfast. So that's with the 16-8. The next one is 5-2. With 5-2, you eat normally for 5 days, and in 2 other days, you restrict your calories. So you restrict yourself, you don't quit eating completely. You go with 500 or 600 calories per day. Once again, as a takeaway, this is a good method for insulin resistance. So if people are prone to type 2 diabetes, this is a good method that can help them prevent so they don't get into that stage. And it's also good for the weight loss process. However, with the 16-8, that would be the kickstart. And ideally, people would build up progressively instead of just going all into calorie restricting themselves for 4 days and eating normally for the other 5. Okay. Another fasting method is eat, stop and eat, which is 5 days you eat. However, 2 days a week you fast. You can start, you can have 5 days in a row of eating, 2 days in a row of having a break from food, or you can choose your days. You can choose Monday and Wednesday. So again, fasting, this biohack is tailored to each and every individual. Each and every person gets their choice of how they would like to do it. Ideally, in the fasting days, you would, for example, Friday morning, 7 a.m., you have something to eat. You commence your fasting Friday morning, 8 a.m., and you stop eating anything till Saturday morning after 8 a.m. As a takeaway, this is quite similar to the previous one I mentioned, the 5-2, where you restrict your calories for 2 days. However, scientifically speaking, there's no support in the effectiveness of this type of fasting. Now, another one, which is a bit more difficult, is the 4-3 fasting. So for 4 days you eat, and for 3 days you fast. Once again, this in the 4 days, it doesn't say you have to eat only vegetables and you have to keep it clean. Ideally, you would not restrict yourself from eating the things you love, like that piece of cake, that chocolate you were craving for so much. You wouldn't stop it. And for 3 days, you wouldn't eat anything, only drink water. Once again, this is quite difficult to sustain, and people can experience, especially us women, this phenomenon called hungry. So you're hungry and angry at the same time, and combined is hangry. Hangry. Yeah, so hungry plus angry.
Hungry.
Angry.
Yeah, hungry.
I know that one.
Yeah, you know.
You get hungry too.
No,
Yeah, it's angry, but
no,
you know,
no,
I
no,
get
no, no.
angry.
You get hungry.
Oh, when we first met, it was angry. I'm like, I gotta go eat now.
Full teeth.
So you might experience feelings of being irritable, anxious, so on and so forth, and you don't want that. Unless you really want to go for it. However, we don't really promote it, we don't really recommend. Another interesting one is OMAD. Does anybody know? OMAD? 1 meal a day, exactly. Thank you very much. So 1 meal a day, which is 23 hours, you fast, and you eat your calories within 1 hour. Again, this is very powerful because you take your mind off. What am I going to eat? What do I have to cook lunch? I don't need to stress about breakfast, so on and so forth. So you have a proper meal, 1 hour, and then for the other 23 hours, you fast. Oh, yes.
So could I go to a buffet? Not eat all day and go to the buffet and eat at the buffet for an hour. And then for the rest of the day.
But you probably have to eat like a Greek warrior or just a Roman warrior in those times, but yes.
Yes, you can. And I know people who do it, and I know people who had significant results in terms of their weight loss journey. They lost plenty just by doing this. And it takes your mind off, I don't know, but personally, for me, always to think about what we need to eat, it's a stress. It's a big stressor. Okay, I need to prepare breakfast, the eggs need to be boiled, you need to live healthy, you need to be like this, like that, and it becomes stressful. It takes me away from doing the things that I love to do. And this one is okay. Yes.
So what about if there's a situation where you can't eat because you have a busy schedule, and so there's 4 to 5 hours at a time that you're fasting, but it's not a scheduled fast? What about those situations? So like you don't eat for 4 or 5 hours because you're busy and on schedule. What effects does that have on the body?
Can you please repeat? So you don't eat for how long?
So you may not eat for 4 or 5 hours because you may have a busy schedule. I can't get to food, I'm not eating. How does that affect the body? So you have a busy lifestyle, you're not eating regularly, but you fast in between that time. That is still fasting, not. Or
so
not.
When would you eat? Can you give me an example?
For example,
Monday?
let's say Monday, I get up, I don't have breakfast. Okay. I'm going to the office.
Okay.
And I'm bogged down with work. So then I don't eat during that time.
Yeah.
And then I may finish till 6 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. And then I may say, I'm going to grab something to eat then. During that whole day, I more or less just had water and I fasted.
Yes.
What about that? How does that impact the body if you're doing it? Because it's not a mentally planned fast, but you're still doing it. How does that affect the body?
So from a genetic and circadian perspective,
yes,
ideally you would not eat very late and close to your bedtime.
Right.
It's quite straightforward. Our pineal gland secretes the melatonin hormone. The plan is for you to go to bed. Don't give your stomach too much stress and let the melatonin do its job. If you go into an office in the morning and paperwork is all over the place, that means it has been chaos. So same happens to your body. If you eat very late at night, 9, 10 o'clock, your body's going to be okay. So he's giving me food. This food cannot stay here in the stomach because you're going to have reflux. I need to digest the food. So all the organs that were preparing to rest are awakened now, and they are starting the digestion process. So the body says, okay, so I'm just going to postpone the sleeping process. So I'm going to carry on with the digestion of the food. So you are fasting, however, you are stressing your body. Then you might as well wait till the morning, and you've done a full day of fast. Just drink water. Ideally, you would eat breakfast, or you would eat something between 2 and maybe 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Just plan it ahead, and that's easy. Or prep something.
Often I don't eat. I'll probably eat 8 or 9. Stop eating there and not eat again until maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You can experiment.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Because the body has memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so the body remembers when was the last time that it had something. So once you get your body on a certain track, you know, it knows like, okay, in the memory, it knows that it's getting ready to approach that hump. Like it's going over a hill. I know I'm getting ready to go over this hill. So I need to increase my energy here. That's to digest the food. And so now there's the activity, there's the working out. And then once I get past it, but I know this is going to happen every day. And so then once the body gets used to that, it begins to cooperate, and it knows that even with the healing process, that okay, I can begin to take care of and put all of my energy really to repair any damage that was done outside of the time where I was working and doing that activity. And then it's just a freedom of knowing, okay, here I go again.
Yeah.
People in the army have a straightforward schedule. Go to bed at 9 o'clock, wake at 6 a.m., breakfast at 7 a.m. Every day till they are in the army. Their circadian clock is blind.
I mean, it keeps the metabolism functioning properly.
So the gastric juice would produce at the same hour when the body says, well, I'm about to get food, every hormone that should have a play in digesting food, it just raises in waiting for food to come.
So an even example just with that, my children raised them with the biohacking. When we first came here to the planet, I already knew how I would feed them specifically, and even in terms of the fasting. So yes, your children require a whole lot more because they're growing, so they need certain things. And so after I finished breastfeeding, then when it was time for them to eat, I trained their bodies to know that, okay, their first meal, because of when they got up, their first meal usually was going to be somewhere around 11 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere between 11 and 12. And it pretty much was very structured. We knew even if we were out, I would carry what I had to take with me. And then, you know, I allowed them to do that. And then the next meal that they have usually is going to be around dinner time. So it's going to be between 4 and 6 within that hour. But after a while, no matter where they were, even when they were not with me, they got hungry around that time. They didn't expect food. So see people say, "Are you hungry? You want a candy?" No, because their body knew that I'm not ready to eat. So then I started experimenting because I'm always thinking in the mind of survival. Just the survival. What would happen if something took place? How long could our bodies sustain itself with the nutrients that it has been carrying for all this time with the absence of food? How much would it need per cubic feet? You know, all of this. And so what I started doing, I would take them places, we would do things, and I would mention food. And I would just sit back and just watch, and I would wait and see when would they come to me. Because what I needed them to know, because of food addiction and other things that I had seen in my practice with a lot of my clients, I never wanted them to be dependent or addicted to food or have an inappropriate relationship with what they were eating. I wanted them to use food as a way to re-energize and charge, kind of like when you see the movie The Matrix. They had that bowl of what appeared to be slop, but it wasn't. It was all they needed. But in the other world, it was the steak and it was all that. But these other people, they got what they needed out of the food. It served its purpose. So I wanted my children's food to serve the purpose. Of course, they can enjoy it. It could be good, it could be fun, but serve its purpose. Don't be like, "Oh, I'm hungry again. It's 5 minutes. I'm hungry again." No. So through the experimentation, I was able to learn that after a while, they could, if I needed them to, not that I forged them or make them, but they could go about 13 hours before they would have, because if I engaged them in other activities that they enjoyed, they'll be like, "Can we eat?"
Oh, okay.
And then when they would say that, I said, "Are you hungry?" Yeah. But is that part of the tip?
I think so.
Would you like me to check?
Just check.
Okay.
Liminal time.
So, for example, Ingram, try that experiment with yourself. Yeah, try setting a routine every morning, 8 o'clock or whatever time. Eat. Cut your breakfast one day, and your body's gonna tell you off. Your body's gonna send the signal. Okay, push my food. I'm expecting this. So yeah.
I had years doing professional training for boxing. I was eating every day, eat a certain time, cut weight, time, hard.
Another type of fasting is to skip a meal. Spontaneously fasting, spontaneously skipping a meal. I don't feel hungry. I'm not gonna eat it. This gives a lot of flexibility into somebody who wants to start fasting compared to the 16-8. And again, many of our clients fall into this category where they just want more flexibility. We're all looking for flexibility or freedom. So they don't want to be, okay, I need to stop now. No. They just go into this skipping thing. Okay. And now the bulletproof intermittent fasting, Atya, I know you were asking about the coffee and what it does. So in the bulletproof intermittent fasting, you eat for 6 hours. Let's say commencing 2 p.m. and finishing 8 p.m. However, you will get your calories from the bulletproof coffee. So in the morning, you have the coffee. Ingram is what? So you have the coffee with butter and with the grain of cane oil. That gives you a boost of energy to carry on. You are still in the fasting mode. And between 2 and 8, you start eating. 8 o'clock, you stop. Commence again the next morning. This is easier for us women, and I'm going to explain to you why this one is easier rather than just the plain intermittent fasting. Yeah. Why would you think having something in the morning for us especially is way much more easier than us not eating anything till a certain time?
Because we need the energy.
Yes.
We need the energy to have some substance in the morning. Really. Plus, because we have more body fat and we are slower to break down our food and so forth. So it gives us time to work off whatever it is that we ate in the morning as you get past in the day.
What about from an evolutionary perspective? What would you think?
In terms of eating in the morning and not.
Yeah, in terms of why would it be ideal for Ingram not to have anything? And for you, why would it be better for you to eat something?
Because it would give my body more energy. And we probably think, we get brain fog, I think, more if we don't eat something. But then there's times though I fasted and I'm like laser beam, I'm very sharp. So, but I would think maybe because we would get more sluggish. I don't know.
Thinking from the evolutionary standpoint, I guess I don't know, perhaps the level of work that was required. If I'm back, well, I'm just thinking, based on the activity that each person has, female versus male, then the woman may need a certain type. If you're expecting, if you're a mother of a child, if you're doing activities that require the nurturing, requires you to run after you, change, all of those things might need something different because you're constantly having somebody pull on you and you're giving them a part of who you are.
That's very
Whereas the man,
from an evolutionary perspective, that's the distinction. Because us, if we starve ourselves, our body thinks it's famine. Famine mode, that means there's no food, thus no babies. And we go into PMS, and we also don't have our menstrual cycle. So case study with somebody that trains here with us, she shared her experience when she traveled to Croatia. She felt a little bit sick, she was traveling to a new country, so on and so forth, and she arrived there. She started eating slowly. She dropped her weight, she saw it, she was happy, and she carried on eating, being in a caloric deficit. And her period stopped. Wow. And then she told her mom, and her mom said, "You come home immediately." And her mom started to feed her. The minute she started to eat better, everything kick-started. So yeah, for us women, especially women who suffered with eating disorders, anorexia, for example, they don't have menstrual cycle. For that reason, it is a big stress for you not having food. That's how the body perceives it, because our bodies are antique. Yeah, they are wired from the primitive period, from our ancestors. So that's how they perceive it. Okay, so you don't want the stress of a pregnancy combined with the stress of the famine. That's why it's ideal to kickstart your morning, even though you wouldn't want to eat something really necessarily. However, if you make like this fat bomb, healthy fat bomb, to drink it in the morning, it helps you carry on. And you're still in fasting mode, so you're not reaching any fast. And actually, as a bonus, you go into ketosis.
right.
So ketosis is when you burn fat and fuel instead of taking your fuel from the usual average carbohydrates. So that's why for us women, it's a little bit better with the bulletproof intermittent fasting. Another tiny hack for us is to add more salt into our food. Yeah, any idea why?
To prevent dehydration.
What does salt have?
Iodine.
I'm sorry.
So salt, well, not your average ATP salt. Let's talk about the quality salt, the Himalayan things. Yeah? Why is that good? Why would we have to have some salt?
so when you talk about the usage of our blood and the way that it flows, we have a tendency, especially depending upon our years, we lose more, especially during that period of time when we're releasing electrons, some of the toxins, for a cycle. So we need the iodine to be able to restore so that we can build back up the body, build back up the blood flow, and so that we can not only so we can get not only the iodine, but what am I trying to say? The iron that's necessary to restore. So it's restoration of the blood, and so that's needed. I remember once when I was on a fast, but I also had an appointment for a particular type of doctor. I do a lot of energy healing. And at this time, I was going through a phase where I was learning the technique, which I called body talk. I call it body talk complex. contact reflex analysis is the actual terminology for it, but I call it body talk energy. And I communicate with the body. The body tells me back just through conversation without me physically touching exactly where I need to go to help that particular area. But anyways, as this particular practitioner was helping me, he did not know that I had been fasting probably like maybe for about 15 days before I had come to see him. He didn't know. So as he's doing the body talk to me, he was being thrown off. So he's going, okay, oh, what is this? He didn't know. He said, what's going on with you? And I said, what do you mean? He said, is there anything going on that I should know about? See, I knew what he was asking me, but I didn't want to tell him because I wanted him to figure it out. Because it's like, I want to see if you really know your stuff. So that, but then he said, he said, your body, this is his word. He said, the way, what I'm picking up on your body, he said, you know how you see the children on TV that's malnourished? I said, because see, now you're not going in the direction I thought you were about to go. He said, because you're just like them. You're malnourished. And I said, malnourished? He said, your body is screaming for iodine. It's screaming. And so then I told him how I had been doing the seesaw flush. But the one that I had chose to use, so you have the seesaw that has iodine, you have the one that does not have iodine. But anyway, my body had depleted itself because it needed to replenish and replace, and everything that I needed had went away. He immediately knew. So when he presented me in his hand with iodine, not that I was going to eat it, but my energy flow, yes, I need this. My body began to talk back to say, this is what I need. So it was interesting that you would say that, because we do need a level. And then I'm a woman, you know.
And salt balances the levels of sodium and potassium.
I was just about to say that the sodium and potassium pump, because it's electrolytes. So you're helping to replenish electrolytes.
And when people fast, what Charlie does, we add a bit of hydrolytic salt in our water to make sure we don't flush the minerals out and to make sure our electrolytes are up.
You don't want to cramp.
Yeah.
What about bathing and that stuff as well? Is that,
You bathe in Epsom salt.
yeah.
And Epsom salt has a different effect on the body, but this is why, real quick, this is why when you, depending upon what you're working on doing, whatever kind of body work you're doing, the water that you choose is important. Because you have some water that goes into, just like how you have a vacuum cleaner. The vacuum cleaner will go to the floor and it's going to pick up and detect everything within its path. So sometimes with distilled water, the distilled water will go and rob your body of all the, see, the distilled water is already void. So when the distilled water goes into your body, although it's cleaner, it goes and it gathers all the minerals, all the nutrients that you already have. This is why a spring water, if you're not fasting, a spring water would be better, even though it has the minerals, but it would be better because it's giving you back. So it just really depends on what you're doing. But I just felt like that.
So yeah, it's good to bath in salt. It's good to do total sensor deprivation in water. The flotation counts. So you go into a big capsule with water, with Epsom salt in the water, dark, and you can't hear, you can't see anything. It's just you with your thoughts. Yeah. And the plan is for you to relax as much as you can. So yeah. So before I hand over to Charlie, who will talk about a different type of fast, the easiest takeaway and example in regarding to women and their calorie restriction, which is something we don't advocate, and it's something we don't promote, and it's something we don't even suggest people to do. Imagine weekend warriors. So these ladies who run marathons like anything every weekend, eating only a couple of calories a day. Their body thinks as such. Okay, so you're running. Tiger must be chasing you. And there's no food. Oh God, so your life must be so difficult. So tiger's chasing you, there's no food, yikes, okay, no pregnancy for you. And that's it.
Wow.
Charlie,
Very much. So the last type of fasting would be negativity fasting.
Uh-huh.
That's really important. It's all the media, everywhere you see, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on every news channel. Um, in most of the cases, all the negative would just pop out. And when you see negative and negative again and another negative news, your brain just rewires itself and only sees negative stuff. You'll end up, even from in a good situation, you'll be picking up just the negative stuff. And that's really amazing how the body just gets into this habit. Um, it's really easy to be a nitpicker. I think that's the word, when you just pick on things you don't like rather than express your gratitude and say, wow, that's actually, it was good. 80%, 90% of it was good. And let's just forget about the 10% when something happened that you didn't really like. So that would be, first, there are a couple of steps that you can take. And again, this is just like another type of fasting journey. First thing, just get off your social media channel just for a while, or just have a set amount of time when you check it, just like with your emails. Because most of the times we just react to emails, we just react to things that are being posted. And I'd much rather, if I could, I just probably have a certain set time when I can just check it. Obviously, for business reasons, I can't here, but my personal Facebook channel, that's another thing that I'm actively doing.
Is that not the biohacking of the mind, though?
Yes, that's another biohacking. It's still a biohacking. Yeah. And have you tried doing this? Have you tried just keeping a few hours on social media, and how did you feel afterwards?
I mean, relieved, because I realized I got back caught up in the matrix. So before, like, in my home, I don't have a television, and haven't had one since my children were small, just because I didn't want that type of energy. I don't have a microwave. I don't have a lot of things that people are used to having, just because I'm like, I'm trying to protect this space, but then still having to know that I have all these other things, that's the responsibility that I have to do. I do have to add some of these things. And then I found myself caught up in this. So I was constantly, this was never me. I was just like, and when I realized I wasn't getting anything done, I was lethargic, I was lazy, I was all these things. So then I had to fast from that. And when I did it, I went to the extreme first, because that's what I know. When I'm extreme, then I have to go back to the other extreme just so that I can get the balance. So the extreme was to cut it off. So I didn't care. Like, deactivated the page, no more. But then I was missing out on business. So I'm like,
that takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, I had to come back. I was gone for like 60 days. And then I had to come back. But then I said, okay, you're going to have to deal with yourself. You can't go extreme. You have to get the balance. So it actually was more disciplined. I had to be more disciplined to deal with it, because I wanted to. So that's what I started doing. I had a schedule. So in the morning, when I wake, after I meditate, after I pray, then I'll take 30 minutes to an hour to go through all the little channels that I have to go to plug in the information that needs to be plugged in. I will be present. I will respond, because I need the people to see me in this way, but I'm not going to become consumed and sucked up. And then the minute it starts getting too good, I need to jump out, okay? And then I'll come back. And it made it easier for me, as long as I can continue to be consistent. If I'm consistent, it's good. Now, there might be once in a while where I'll say, let me just, but that's rare. I try to stick to the schedule. Do I follow it all the time? No. But when I follow the schedule of just going in at certain times, then bouncing back out, it's better for me.
Okay, yeah, that's great stuff. Yeah. Good. So that was the first bit. Then we've got two more, and basically just try to interrupt the negativity with some positive self-talk. So instead of just feeling sorry for yourself that a negative event has happened, just try to rewire your brain to think into positive stuff. Right, it happened, I can't change it, it's already happened, but what can I do to prevent it to happen again? What have I done wrong and what can I change? And then the third one would be just to practice gratitude.
Yes.
And that's something that most of us don't do. It's quite easy, and I think for some of the people comes out as strange. Like, why do I have to write down on a piece of paper that I had a good day, or that the parents visited, or I just saw somebody? But it's a good way of manifesting the gratitude, or just even though you're not writing it down, but there are a lot of little books that you can buy and just fill it in with your little gratitude examples that you feel, or you just go and practice it out in the world. Just say to people what you feel. So that would be the last one, and it definitely rewires the brain to be more positive. And that's about the fasting, and I'm about to open another chapter about sleep. So I'll go through that rather quickly. The music in the background is supposed to be just improving your creativity. We've got some alpha brains, alpha brain waves playing in the background. So sleep is when the brain is the most active. So throughout the day, your brain has loads of information to process, but during night, it's when it's most active. And it's because you have to, your body, your brain sends signals to your organs to cleanse. It cleanses the blood, it regulates the sex hormones, it regulates the ghrelin hormone, the hormone that tells you whether you're hungry or not. And obviously it will set the mood for the next day. It's really the next day begins when you go to sleep tonight. That's really important. And from somebody who took sleeping pills, I had a period when I had to have some when I was younger, and just having nightmares and all that kind of stuff, and just thinking about that they might come back. But back in the days, because we didn't have a telly, and since I moved out when I was 18, I never looked back and didn't really watch anything on telly. We started reading, and just reading before bed. It's great because your body then, your brain has the capacity to, just straight after you went to bed, it has the capacity to process that information which is still fresh and just send it to your subconscious mind. So that would be the first hack to improve your sleep. You can read, and that will definitely send you to sleep in about 1 hour as well. And especially with this kind of music.
Don't worry, we're gonna
or delta
turn
waves.
energy up to the work.
Sorry,
will.
y'all. This is like so relaxing, man.
You could change,
The presentation is awesome. It's the music that got me
change to get on better. So we'll see how.
You got me in that. What is that?
I use this all the time, so I recognise it straight away. So my body's like,
No, beta. Oh, what state of the brain when it relaxes at the what, beta or?
This was alpha,
Alpha.
when you're learning and you're creative.
Yeah, because I'm.
is this the 8 hour? Is this the 8 hour one on YouTube?
Those of them we just picked one.
This sounds familiar. Now,
Can you make it a bit lower?
I want to ask you something. Well, biohacking about DNA, changing the DNA.
That's an advanced biohacking.
Shit about that.
That's an advanced one.
So do you guys
There are
provide,
three types of biohackers.
do you guys
One
provide
is track
training for
the ones that
healthcare
have
specialists
wearable
who want
and
to
implants,
Yeah.
and the ones that
specialize in this or do this for their clients?
Here,
advanced.
here,
So we don't do this from
Yeah.
retraining.
Yeah.
a medical perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a
We do it for
brainwave.
fitness.
Yeah.
But the person wants to do it for that as well.
We don't train anybody.
Just got it all to yourself.
Should we do like a 5-minute break before we crack into sleep?
Okay, I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
Yeah, okay. Second one.
Wait, my
You do 5.
You train now?
We're gonna train everybody in this room.
Yeah, we get to try.
Oh, okay, grandma, we don't have to. You can train grandma.
You can train grandma.
I can train you.
Still on?
Yep, yep, yep.
Can we pause it?
We can pause it or we can stop it and we can come back and do the live training session.
Yeah.
We'll do that?
Yeah, let's do the training. Do you have
I've still got some stuff to say about sleeping.
okay.
I just started about sleeping.
Oh, okay. We'll just keep it going.
Then I'm not gonna say anything about
Okay.
I'm gonna say the Polish email stuff.
Oh, that's a big group or something?
Well,
No, have 5.
have 5
Take a
and
breath.
then we'll just draw the conclusions and I'll just speak more about sleeping better. Then we can train. It's nice.
That's the thing, that's the thing. That's the music. Sound like a plane.
You should feel in about 5 minutes how you just re-energize it.
I still don't feel it right here.
Okay.
Your hands are cold. I feel it right here.
Music's driven them away. God, that's it. I can't stand this music. I'm off. Yep, I'm off.
So it's gonna train fast.
Me. 9 rounds and I'm going to train.
We had an agreement, and I'm going to put this right back on the agreement. We're going to stick to the agreement. They train first, and then you and I train first.
Second.
We had an agreement.
Have you ever tried EMS before? Have you tried? You said you
I tried it on
have-
certain other parts of my, yeah. So I know what,
But this will feel wonderful now for you. It's a whole big experience.
I've never had the actual suit like this, but I've experienced ESAM, electrical muscle stimulation, EMS. you'd be like, wait. Because they used to make us see what it feels like. So we ramp it up, we could feel our whole muscle, you know, and then when I use it for my clients, I let squeeze. When you feel the contraction of the muscle, then you can squeeze at the same time. So
Yeah.
that muscle be it.
There was, I think, those slender tones that came out. People were, we were getting feedback from them because they weren't working. I think the ads, what they have been doing, they were like, just sit down on the sofa, watch them.
Right.
It does it for you. You were actually meant to be tensing those muscles, which they either failed to say to people, or people they weren't really doing it. Our workout is all about tensing. This is how the muscles go. Under tension.
I'm ready. Are we going together?
Yes.
Together?
Yeah, let's go.
Do this.
Oh, not just yet?
No.
No. In a minute.
Well, I still got stuff to say.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm sorry.
Do you want to continue?
Should I continue? Should I
Yes.
continue?
Ready to
Yeah?
continue?
Good. I'll talk about sleep, but I'm trying not to send you to sleep. Just talk.
Nah, you. This music is so like y'all had bed.
Why?
I think I'd be like this.
So I talked about the first hack. It's not really a hack. How to get a better sleep just by reading a book instead of just watching telly, which has a lot of blue light, and blue light can also affect your melatonin levels. So the second hack would be just reduce your blue light exposure, at least just after the sun goes down. So blue light is meant to be waking you up in the morning, energize you. It's good for the body. It's good for the body throughout the day. So you're meant to be going out in the sun and enjoy the sunshine when you wake up. Because this way you align your circadian rhythm and you'll have a much better sleep at night. What people fail to do is they are constantly telling their body, well, it's still daytime, You watch and stare at the telly, you watch and stare at your phone, and all other devices that are just popping up nowadays, which emit a lot of blue light. And that little hormone there, that's not really producing enough for you to go to bed. So that's bad. You could reduce the blue light. You could use some curtains, and for your windows, just to black out all the light that is coming in to trick your body that it's really nighttime. Or you can use those glasses that people use when they sleep, or just increase the on the phones, on the new iPhones as well. You have a warm light setting, and that removes the blue light out and just makes it a bit weird, reddish. The whole display is like dark red, but it's a lot easier on the eyes. And adjust your bedtime. So ideally you want to go to bed before 11 o'clock at night. After 11 o'clock, have you noticed when you're trying to go to bed, but you just stay just a little longer? I've got stuff to work on, and we do it all the time. And then you're trying to power through, because I've got this presentation to do tomorrow, because I've got this stuff to do, to talk about. And you're trying to power through, and then you end up, hold on a second, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And why is that? Well, because cortisol levels are going up, and you're not really meant to be awake at that stage. Cortisol is meant to be helping with just cleansing your body and getting it ready for next day, just storing all the little information and organizing everything. So it's not about watching the new series. It's not about preparing for the next day's speech or all that stuff. And another easy one, which you could do here, because it's sunny-wooding, so it's called sunny-wooding for a reason. You could do grounding, and that's another powerful stuff. In the morning, just go down to the beach and just take your shoes off and just walk on the pebbles and walk on the grass, wherever you feel comfortable.
There's a tree.
Hug a tree. Yes, because your body has all this positive charge due to stress, and that's also inflammation for your body. And what you can do is it's quite simple. You just ground yourself. The earth will send negative electrons to just keep you in balance. And nowadays you can also find shoes that are grounding you. So in the insoles, you have a little piece that connects you and wires you to the ground, because all the shoes that are coming up, they kind of insulate us. So there's not a lot of electricity exchange going on. And I also mentioned the sun. I want to get back to that. With fasting, just sun gazing, just enjoying the sunshine would be the second oldest biohack. The Greeks, they have been using it for centuries ago, just to treat illnesses, just by doing that. So that would be the sunlight exposure. And also, researchers just lately they've discovered that exposing yourself to blue light and to sunshine, you can so you'll be burning the fat just right under your skin, the white fat, which it stores energy, and you can just burn it down with exercise. So that's another way to kickstart the fat process. My general rule is no caffeine after 2 o'clock. I don't do caffeine. I do 1 or maybe 2 cups of coffee, because I just like to feel energized. I do that after the cortisol surge in the morning, just before it just slows down. I just make it pick up again. But that's it. If you really want to wind down during the night, you really want to have a good night's sleep, you shouldn't be doing caffeine after 2 o'clock. Or if you go to bed later, just plan it 8 hours before bedtime. So that's another way. And exercise. That's raising up your energy levels. It just adjusts the circadian rhythm. It has so many benefits. I can't even enlist all of them. There's another hack, raw honey before bed. That's quite easy to do, because you will feel hungry before you go to bed, and that's really natural. But overnight, you can just wake up because you don't have any glycogen left in your body, because your liver is overnight, it's pumping glycogen. And if you deplete the storage, your body might think, well, actually, you're going to starve. So it wakes you up. So a little bit of honey would help with that. And you've just done all these hacks that I was talking about. So you've done all these little tricks. But then what about actually tracking them? So like I said, biohacking is not just about just tracking, but measuring as well. So this is where you just roll up your sleeves and you're about to just dig in and take matter into your own hands. So when I say that is measuring, right, I went to bed at 10 o'clock, like you told me, Charlie. I did have a little bit of honey, and tomorrow I'm just about to go and have some sunshine and sun gaze and all that stuff. But most importantly, how did I feel afterwards? It's having a little sleep log where you're not just going to write down, well, I went to bed at 10 o'clock, I felt great. No, it's about, I went to bed at 10 o'clock, I stopped having caffeine at, I didn't have wine tonight, so I did have wine, I did have a drink. And all those, when did I eat last time? Because all those little things add up. Just like with losing weight, it's not just about exercise, it's good diet, it's good mindset, it's sleep, it's so much more than just exercise. So we've done the sleep log. This is kind of traditional, but you have sleep apps as well. So you have sleep cycle app. That's an app that you just put at the bedside cabinet, and that would give you.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I need to wait. I'm like,
She's trying it all out now. I'm trying it all out. Monitoring.
I'm so sorry. It's like y'all. We had like whiplash. I had the head bobbing and weaving. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Please forgive me. I know not what I did.
It reflected in your workout. That's all I have to say.
So y'all make sure y'all put it up in here so you
Good. So just a few things more, and then I'll just finish. I'd like to mention one app that has been proven to be great, Sleep Cycle. So that picks up any noise in the room when you sleep, and it can determine exactly whether you're in light sleep, deep sleep, or REM sleep. And it will wake you up at the right time, so you're not going to feel groggy. It will know when your sleep cycle, and it will know exactly when to wake you up, so you don't feel just not wanting to get up and wanting to snooze. There are a few apps that also pick the noises up from outside, and they send back like a white noise. So just trying to insulate that noise, and so you won't hear it, basically, to try to mimic a counter noise, if I'm correct. And you get wearable sleep devices. There's headbands, you can have headbands, and they will also send some electric impulses there, which would help for some brainwave therapy. Or just a little ring that will measure sleep, to measure heart rate variability. So when you're stressed, and it does so much more. Sorry.
There's a hippo bands that measures your heart rate and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Right, and there's another way to hack your sleep as well with extra melatonin. So these are just little pills. They've been proven to be quite good. They don't interfere with your body's natural capabilities of producing melatonin. So the body will still produce it, but you're adding just a little boost to it. That's also good.
It's like a melatonin.
Oh,
Melatonin.
Yeah.
Oh, we say melatonin.
That's the thing that makes you sleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Because you think about, so because even within the melatonin, when you think about how it actually draws, for the natural melatonin, it draws from the darkness, within the earth. And so when you think about us needing, like how you mentioned earlier, we need that dark to tell our body that, okay, it's time to go to sleep, because when the sun is out, it's up, we're able to digest, but then it gets closer to the darkness, and that very ingredient is what's in that pill. And it triggers the body to give it the darkness, really what it needs. I mean, I'm just using that in layman terms, it's a basic term, but I don't know all the scientific language to typically use, but that's really what it is in essence. It gives us that drop of, the blindfold, darkness, this pitch. Because have you ever heard some people cannot sleep when there's any kind of light? So one of the challenges that I had even with my current husband when we first got married, or before we got married, I explained to him that as we go into this partnership together, and I think about the future, whether we decide to have children or not, your current lifestyle is not going to be conducive to mine unless you make another decision. And that was because his schedule was such that he stayed up all night. And then, so in the morning, when everybody else is getting up, he's going to sleep. What I do know, just from my own practice and just a lot of the research, you are taking many years off of your life by doing that. And so if I'm about to enter into a partnership with you, I'm not trying to be a widow in a couple of years because of a decision that you made, and now you're including me in that. I don't want to be a part of that. So you have a decision to make. So he did change his schedule. However, he now has more control over the schedule, but his body, basically he went back. Even though he now still has control, he slowly went back to the same thing that he was doing 3 or 4 years ago. And as I'm showing him, well, look at this. He's like, no. I said, but look at this. Do you realize that when you're getting in and ready to go to sleep, I'm up and I'm ready to start my day. And you're wondering, well, how did he listen to that? I'm not going to get up in the middle of the night to have conversations because it's time for me to get what I need. You need to learn how to get what you need so that you can live longer. Because you're gonna go faster. I'm sorry, you're gonna die unless something should happen. You're going to die sooner.
Maybe his chronotype is a bit different than yours. There are like 4 chronotypes out there.
He's not well, I told him he was a vampire.
There we go.
And I'm not a vampire. Yeah. Freaks come out at night. No.
Yeah.
All right. And the last biohack, second to last. I've started doing something really interesting. Mouth taping.
What's so funny, mate? What's so funny about it?
Mouth taping.
Mouth taping. Yeah. Mouth taping.
How come up?
It's a tape you put on your mouth, and then she's happy.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the noise that comes out? What is it?
It's for another purpose actually. Your body regulates the nitric oxide that flows into your body, and the nose can do that a lot better than your mouth. Apparently, if you breathe through your mouth, you are more anxious.
Yeah.
Your blood pressure raises, and just by even athletes, they breathe through their noses. Little babies, when they're just born, they do the belly breathing, which is very good, and the nose breathing. So that's very good. Just regulates the right amount of oxygen that flows into the body. My little ring that I just showed you, it picks up that I wake up loads of times during the night, which I clearly don't remember doing. Tiny little, basically seconds when you just, you're not really conscious, but you wake up, and wearing such a tape, it would basically help you, because you might be snoring and you wake up to your own noise.
Yeah.
Or somebody else wakes up to your own
Or somebody else.
Is that on the plane coming here and the people are not happy?
Okay. And then it just basically what sleep is more about having quality rather than quantity. And the last thing is the binaural beats.
The one about
Yeah.
What we listen to now?
We've been listening to them since you guys came. And
We've seen the benefits of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Let me not be your example. Oh my God, I despise it. And if I'm like, haven't had any, you know, we still on the sleep.
Yes,
how do
I-
you feel? How do you feel now?
Huh?
How do you feel now? We changed the frequencies to some higher ones.
I feel better.
So these are more like awake, really.
Yeah, because I'm waking up. I've had 2 hours of sleep.
It's the jet lag as well for you.
Well, and then, yeah, and that was
So I'm waking up when I was on my way here.
but it's a little better, but I know that anything like this though, when I put it on, it's just like, dang, after a minute, it takes me down
It's
still.
interesting. I'm here and I'm just like pumped. All I'm doing is pumped.
It's because you know what's gonna happen.
I've been pumped like that since.
You're pretty nervous.
But you're always pumped on the training days.
Yeah,
That's
so
you.
I'm feeling that, you know.
You have the body stream type of music in a minute.
Yeah, it's odd, but I'm trying to relax and just stay calm.
Yeah, let the music take
So
you.
before you think about any hacks, you're gonna experience the body stream, biohack. Attention, please, Ingram Jones. So we're gonna have the body stream workout. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to us.
No, thank you.